The whole deck is standing on a board like this one. The question is, what's holding up the board? After 35 years, here's how I attach a ledger to concrete, and it never changes. The step that matters most comes last. The piece of material that we're using up on the concrete, this one's made by Owens Corning, and that's why it's black in color. It doesn't look like real wood because it's a structural composite. It has fiberglass backing inside. It's like a sheath inside of the composite to keep it strong. One of the problems when you're mounting wood to concrete, you either have to create areas for drainage or you gotta keep it away from the concrete so it doesn't decay. So with this product, we can bolt it right up against the concrete. We have to shim it out because the concrete's not exactly straight, but the places that we attach it, we can go right direct to concrete contact with this type of material. Where do you put the fasteners? Let's talk about the fasteners for a second. These are a structural bolt called Titan bolts made by Simpson Strong-Tie. These are a 5/8 inch bolt for applying through like a composite lumber into the concrete. We drill a 5/8 inch hole, we clean it out really good, and then we anchor these into the wall. These hold really well, they don't have any pull out, and this is our preferred method of installation when we're mounting to concrete. We do want to use a bigger bolt. They make 1/2 inch, they make smaller versions of this, but because we're holding a deck to it, we're going to use a 5/8. Also, as far as the layout, if you just go and put these anywhere you want, then they could be in the way of your joists or your joist hangers. Then you're notching joists, or you might have problems getting your joist hangers installed, or you might have to go to an alternate method to secure your joist to the ledger. We went online, we went to strongtie.com, and my question was, how many Titan bolts do I need for this size deck with this length of joist span? And it spit out an answer of 17 inches on center would be minimal. So I need one of these every 17 inches. So what I did was I did my deck framing layout from the corner of the house up to a certain point where this ledger is gonna go. And I went ahead and laid out those joist locations. So there's a joist going on every side of this line right here, okay? Then what I did was I simulated 1.5 inches over, and I took this measurement, which was 12.5, and then I divided that in half, which gave me 6.25. So from this line, I'm 6.25 inches. From this line right now, I'm 7.75, but once my joist is installed, I'll also be 6.25 away. So then I went ahead and just did a layout of where I want to put my Titan bolts, and all of those are the locations of where the Titan bolts need to go. Now remember, it also says, right, in the installation instructions, you want to be 2 inches down and 2 inches up from the bottom. 2 inches down from the top, 2 inches up from the bottom, minimal, when you're installing these. So I went ahead and went through the specs. So now that we have all these holes identified, I'm gonna drill the holes out with a 5/8 inch butterfly bit, and then I'm gonna set this up on the concrete. We have an elevation chalk line on the wall of the height I want the ledger to be. So you can see there's a lot of roughness, rough edges, rough concrete, all kinds of different things. And we had to make some notches in our board and that kind of thing. Once we put the fasteners in, we'll just put them in to a certain torque. We're gonna use a impact driver to do that. And we just wanna make it so that this bolt touches the surface of our ledger board and makes it nice and snug. We don't want to over tighten it, that can put stress on the concrete, and we only want to drill a 1/2 inch deeper than the depth of what our fastener is going to be inside the ledger. So if this is a 6-inch bolt, then we have 1.5 inch ledger. So that leaves us with 4.5 inches of depth, which is great into the concrete, but we want to make our holes 5 inches deep so we have a little bit extra clearance when we're putting that in. So now that you understand the mechanics of how we're going to install this into the concrete, let's get the holes drilled. Actually, why don't we cut a 3/4 inch hole because of these threads? There we go. That'll fit just fine. All right, so our holes are drilled. I'm gonna go ahead and set this in place on the chalk line. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill one hole, make sure everything's exactly where I want it set, and then I'm gonna install one bolt. That's gonna hold the ledger up for me while I drill the rest of the holes. So these will have to be drilled, cleaned, blown out in place, and then we'll install the Titan bolts as we go. Because the wall is so wavy, when I install this first bolt, I may put a shim somewhere in here just to kind of keep it from sucking it too tight. But we're gonna go ahead and get the hole drilled first. And I can add shims. I have this Makita roto hammer / jackhammer. I also measured from the tip of the bit down 6.5 inches. My bolt is 6 inches, so I wanna go in 6.5 to here so that it has a little bit of clearance. And I also wanted this line to be right at the edge of the concrete, which it is. And you can see there's a little bit of a gap right here, so I may end up needing to put a shim before I tighten this up behind here. But let's go ahead and drill this first hole. All right, now that that's drilled, I need to blow it out. So I'm gonna use some compressed air. Just do a couple quick shots. And then I'm gonna give it a little bit more depth. So having an air compressor can come in really handy. If you don't have an air compressor, you can use a brush. You can go buy like a steel wire brush and you can brush the hole out as well. Now we're gonna go ahead and use an impact gun, a heavy duty one, and we're gonna go ahead and install this bolt. Okay, I can see it's starting to torque in. I wanna double check my level. Top needs to come out a little bit. So just like I was saying earlier, we might need to shim this out. I'm gonna pull this a little bit, but it looks to me like the top of this needs to lean out a little bit. I'll take this in slowly. Yeah, I might have to add a little bit more shim to this. There we go. That's a little too much shim. I'm just gonna pull it out a little bit. That's pretty close. Okay, once I have all these installed, then I'm gonna go back and do one more thing that most people neglect to do when they're installing these type of fasteners into concrete. Now our ledger's installed with our concrete anchors. If you want to be particular to make sure that these are installed properly, we're going to torque these bolts to 100 pounds per square inch. This is a torque wrench. I've got it set to 100 pounds per square inch right here, and we're just going to cinch these down until this thing clicks. Once it clicks, every single one of these could already be beyond that, but we definitely don't want to over torque. I don't feel like I over torqued any of these bolts. Okay, this one's getting tighter. You hear that click? That means you're at the right torque. So I'm glad we did this because I was under torqued on this particular bolt. That one's good. There it is. There we go. That board's not going anywhere, and now you know why. Not luck, not glue, the right holes and the right bolts, every step in order.